On Christmas Eve of 1492, the flagship of Christopher Columbus ran aground on a reef off the north coast of what is now Haiti, and his men dismantled the ship and built a fort from its timbers beside a Taino town, leaving 39 sailors behind when Columbus sailed for Spain. When he returned in November of 1493, the fort had been burned to the ground and every one of the 39 was dead. Then the place itself went missing, because in the 5 centuries since, no one has been able to prove where it stood. That is La Navidad, the first European settlement in the Americas, and it is number 1 on this list. Before we reach it, there is a village of 3,400 people that a lake covered in the space of 2 hours, an island Haiti still claims where the workers rose up and the settlement emptied, a Spanish town erased by order of its own empire, and the capital of a kingdom that vanished with its queen. Subscribe before we start, because some of these places can be stood on today, and the people standing on them rarely know it. Haiti keeps one of the oldest and heaviest records of loss in the hemisphere, and what follows is 13 of the villages and towns that record has swallowed, counting down toward the one that has been missing for 500 years. Number 13. The anchorage that blew apart. Île Vache. Off the southern coast, the island called Île Vache was a gathering place for the buccaneers of the 1600s, and in January of 1669, Henry Morgan called his captains to a council aboard an English warship anchored there. During the drinking that followed, the ship's powder magazine ignited, and the vessel blew apart with most of her company, some 200 men, while Morgan was pulled from the water alive. The fleet scattered, and the anchorage never again held what it held that night. The island is still there, and the wreck is still under the bay. Number 12. The island where the settlement rose and emptied, Navassa. West of the southern peninsula sits a waterless island that Haiti has claimed since its constitution of the 19th century, and that an American company mined for guano with black laborers who lived on the rock in conditions close to slavery. In 1889, the workers rose and killed 5 of their overseers. The trials that followed reached the Supreme Court of the United States, and within a decade the mining was finished and the settlement was gone. The barracks fell in, the machinery rusted where it stood, and the island today has no inhabitants at all. Haiti still claims it. The rock is still empty. Number 11. The villages of October 1954. The Southern Peninsula. Hurricane Hazel crossed southern Haiti as one of the worst storms of its century, and along the Tiburon Peninsula it destroyed whole fishing and farming villages, with the dead in Haiti counted in the hundreds, and by some estimates near 1,000. Some settlements were rebuilt on the same ground, some never were. The coast the storm cleared is still lined with villages that stand where older ones stood. Number 10. The villages of October 1963, the Southwest. 9 years later, Hurricane Flora stalled over the same peninsula and drowned it, and the dead in Haiti were counted in the thousands, with estimates reaching 5,000, entire hillsides of gardens and hamlets stripped down to rock. It remains among the deadliest storms ever recorded in the Atlantic. The government of the day restricted what the world was told. The mountains it stripped are still farmed by the children of the survivors. Number 9. The city the water keeps taking, Gonaive. In September of 2004, Hurricane Jeanne passed north of Haiti, and the flooding it sent down the bare mountains killed 1,870 people, with 846 more disappeared, and 300,000 displaced, and more than 3,000 of the dead were in Gonaives alone, a city buried to its rooftops in mud. 4 years later, in 2008, the storms came back to back and the city drowned again. Gonaives did not disappear. Whole neighborhoods of it did, twice. The city is still on the same floodplain, below the same stripped mountains. Quick thing before the second half, drop a comment with the country you are watching from and tap the like if this record is earning it, because what is ahead is heavier than what is behind, and number 1, the village that has been missing since 1493, is still to come. Number 8, the village the river replaced with stones, Font-Verets. On the night of the 23rd of May 2004, after days of rain off the Massif de la Selle, the small river beside Font-Verets swelled to more than 500 meters wide, and swept the village away in the dark, and what were once houses and streets are now only fields of rocks, with more than 200 missing and only a handful of bodies ever found, most believed buried under the stones. The official count for the village reached 237 victims. The rock field is still there where the streets were. Number 7. the village that became a lake, Mapo. The same night, in a valley 40 miles southeast of Port-au-Prince, a natural dam holding back the water on higher ground burst at about 3 in the morning, and the village of Mapo, 3,400 people, was submerged in around 2 hours, while its people slept. Days later, the only evidence a village had existed was the occasional rooftop breaking the surface of a new lake, with around 1,000 villagers presumed drowned, and the outlying hamlet of Berrois completely destroyed. Across the whole disaster, Haiti counted 1,232 dead, and 1,443 disappeared. Red Cross teams in boats broke through the roofs with pickaxes to bring the dead up out of their own houses. Survivors told reporters that Mapu was over. The lake stayed for months over the place where the village had been, and the valley floor still holds what the water left in it. Number 6. The town at the epicenter, Léogâne. On the 12th of January 2010, the earthquake that killed more than 200,000 people in Haiti broke the ground almost directly beneath Léogâne, west of the capital, and assessments found between 80 and 90% of the town's buildings damaged or destroyed, a higher share than anywhere else in the country. The town that stood on the morning of the 12th was gone by that evening, and what stands there now was built afterward on top of it. The fault is still under the town. Number 5. The villages on the wrong side of the river, the border, 1937. In October of 1937, on the orders of the Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo, soldiers with machetes went through the Haitian communities of the Dominican borderlands, and in a few weeks the villages of Haitian farm workers who had lived there for generations ceased to exist, their people killed or driven across the river, with estimates of the dead running from several thousand to 20,000 or more. The river that marks the border had carried the name Massacre since an earlier century, and after 1937 the name meant something new. The communities were never re-established. The river is still the border, and it still carries the name. Number 4. The capital of the last free kingdom, Saragua. In 1503, the Queen Anacaona ruled the Taino kingdom of Saragua from a town near where Léogâne now stands, and she welcomed the Spanish governor Nicolás de Ovando with feasts. On his signal, his soldiers seized the great house, burned the assembled caciques alive inside it, and hanged Anacaona. The kingdom was broken, the town was erased, and a colonial settlement rose over its ground. Nothing of the capital of Saragua is marked today. The Queen's town is still somewhere under the streets that replaced it. Number 3. The town that hosted the shipwreck, Enbas Salin. On the northeast coast, about 12 kilometers east of Cap Haitien, lies one of the largest Taino town sites reported in Haiti, some 95,000 square meters, occupied from about the year 1200, and believed to be the principal town of the cacique Guacanagari, the chief who took in the shipwrecked crew of the Santa Maria. The colonial labor records of 1514 suggest the native people of this area were largely gone by that date, a town of thousands reduced to nothing within a generation of the wreck it had rescued. Today, a Haitian village of about 150 people farms the ground directly on top of it. The great town is still under the gardens. Number 2. The town its own empire erased, Puerto Real. In 1503, the Spanish founded a city on the north coast near present-day Limonade, and for 75 years Spaniards, Indians, and Africans lived in it, until the Crown, unable to control the contraband trade running through it, ordered it abandoned in 1578 and the population removed. The town then vanished so completely that it stayed lost for 4 centuries, invisible under farmland, until Dr. William Hodges, a medical missionary searching for La Navidad, found it again, and a 7-year excavation led from the University of Florida mapped the streets no one had seen since the 16th century. The fields are still grazed above it, and the city is still under the grass. Number 1. The village missing since 1493, La Navidad. This is the one we opened on. The fort built from the timbers of the Santa Maria beside Guacanagari's town held 39 men, carpenters, a physician, a tailor, a gunner, and by the time Columbus returned in November of 1493, all of them were dead and the settlement was destroyed, by the accounts, after the Spaniards' seizure of Taino women and their own quarrels turned the country against them. Then the search began, and it has never ended. A French geographer hunted it in the 1780s, the historian Samuel Eliot Morison in the 1930s, Hodges from the 1960s until his death in 1995, the archaeologist Kathleen Deegan in the 1980s, and again in 2003, and a burned structure full of Spanish artifacts at En Bas Saline is the leading candidate, without conclusive proof. In 2014, an explorer announced he had found the Santa Maria herself, and a UNESCO investigation ruled the wreck was not the ship. After 12 villages taken by water, storms, soldiers, and empires, the first entry on this list is the first European settlement in the Americas, and it is also the hemisphere's first missing village. The north coast is still being searched. The 39 are still wherever the fire left them. That is 13 across one country, a lake with a village under it, a river with a name it earned twice, a queen's capital with a town built on top of it, and a fort that has been lost longer than any nation in this hemisphere has existed. 13 is nowhere near the full count in Haiti or anywhere near it. Stay subscribed, and we will keep looking for the rest.